This is the W5FC repeater, PL110.9. Dallas races net, first and third Sunday, 8 p.m., W5FC.
This is N5BB. In about 4 minutes, I'm going to be starting Skynet on this frequency. If you need to use the repeater, please go ahead now. N5BB.
Mr. Chairman, I need to make myself very clear. If we uplink now, Skynet will be in control of your military.
But you'll be in control of Skynet, right?
That is correct, sir.
Skynet.
This is N5BB, November 5. Bravo, bravo. Getting ready to start Skynet. Hold on just a moment as I pull the script up. This is N5BB. My name is Bill. I'll be your net control for this session of the Dallas Amateur Radio Club Skynet. Skynet is a weekly net called every Saturday night at 9 p.m. concerning the subject of astronomy. Our purpose is to help amateurs become more familiar with the nighttime and daytime sky, astronomy, and space in general. This net is open to all amateurs interested in this topic. We encourage your participation, comments, and suggestions for this net. Stations with priority emergency traffic may enter the net at any time by entering the pro sign, break, and your call sign. This is a directed net. Please do not transmit without direction from net control. That's myself in 5BB. Stations are reminded to identify the end of your transmissions. This weekly net operates on 146.88 megahertz with a PL tone of 110.9. Check-ins via Echolink are also possible using W5FC-R station ID, which is Echolink node 37247. Tonight's topics, astronomy charts, pictures, and live audio-video links are available online. Go to www.w5fc.org for the complete list. Remember to tell others about this popular net. All amateur operators are welcome. You do not need to be a member of any amateur radio club to participate. This is N5BB, Skynet. The net is 90 minutes long, structured into many parts. I'll go through this very quickly. General announcements, Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas, National Space Society. The discussion topic of the evening was up, space exploration and space history, the constellation of the week, and if we have time, space launches of the week, recent astronomical discoveries, and if we have time, visible satellite passages over the next couple of days, and astronomical questions and answers, followed by 73, which means we close the net. Again, all amateurs licensed to transmit here are invited to check in. So, first, let's start with short time check-ins. We'll do Echolink later. So let's start with short time RF check-ins. If you can't stay here very long, please come now with your call sign, your name, and your location. This is N5BB, net control for Skynet. Well, that's a slow start. Let's try one more time. Do we have any short time check-ins in Skynet? This is N5BB.
This is Kilo Golf 5, Tango Yankee Mike, checking in, just listening. First time on. Over.
Very good. KG5TYM, short time check-in. Please give us your name and your location.
They call me Casey. I'm here in Garland, Texas.
I'm sorry, what was your name? And I missed the city.
That's Casey, Garland, Texas. Over.
Okay. I think your name was Katid. Is that right? K-A-T-I-D? Was that your name?
That's Casey, like Jason.
Okay, I think you're going to have to use phonetics. I think you're Jason, but I still didn't get the city.
Charlie, Alpha, Sierra, Oscar, November. Over.
Okay, Jason in Cason, Texas. I got it this time. Very good, thank you. Do we have any other short-time check-ins? Oh, Garland. Oh, you're in Garland. Okay, we've got you, Cason and Garland. Do we have any other short-time check-ins to Skynet? This is N5BB. Nothing heard. Let's try the RF check-ins. If I could check in on RF, please come now with your call sign, your name, and your location. This is N5BB, Skynet.
Whiskey 5, Beacon Lettuce Tomato, W5BLT Bill, Garland.
Kilo Foxtrot 5, Juliet Hotel Alpha Chaz. Mesquite, also in the Milky Way.
This is Whiskey
Bravo, number 4, Mike, Foxtrot, India, WB4, MFI, Ted, Dallas, low power.
This is Kilo Golf 5, Delta India Mike, Tyler and Benson.
Whiskey Bravo, Oscar Zulu Lima, Brenda in Dallas.
Kilo 5, Juliet Delta Whiskey, John and Coppell, mobile.
This is Alpha 5, Alpha Hotel, Robert Richardson.
Kilo Foxtrot 5, Zulu Bravo Lima, Bill, Farmers Branch.
This is Kilo Golf 5, Whiskey Victor Lima, James and Carrollton.
This is November Tango 5, Tango Mike, Tony in Dallas.
Kilo Juliet 5, Charlie Golf Tango, James in Dallas.
Okay, let's pause there. I think there might have been a double, so please listen carefully for your call sign. In the order I received them, I recognize W5BLT, hello Bill, KF5JHA, Chaz, and Bob the Cat, KE5ICX, Tom, WB4MFI, Ted, KG5DIM, Tyler, WB5OZL, Brenda, K5JDW, John, AA5AH, Robert, KF5ZBL, Bill, KG5WVL, James, NT5TM, Tony, and KJ5CGT, James. Do we have any other RF check-ins for Skynet? This is N5PB.
Kilo 5, Mike Charlie Delta, Cody in Dallas.
And I recognize K5MCD. Hello, Cody. One last try. Well, we'll have later chances also. Are there any other RF check-ins to Skynet? This is N5BB. Okay, looking at Echolink, we've got Chaz and Bob the Cat, Tom, N5LIG, November 5, Lima, India Golf. Would you like to check in to the net on voice? If so, please give us your name and your location, either on voice or text. N5LIG, go ahead.
This is November 5, Lima, India Golf, Bill from Little Hill.
N5LIG, hello Bill. I believe you said Little Elm. Is that correct?
Elm is correct.
Very good, Bill. Thank you very much. I recognize N5LIG. Okay, that's all the stations I see. Do we have any other check-ins via any mode to Skynet? This is N5BB, net control. Okay, nothing heard. Now, general announcements. Does anybody have any announcements? This can be things about amateur radio, astronomy, space, science, anything of general interest to hams. If so, please come now with your call sign only. This is N5BB, Skynet.
November Tango 5, Tango Mike.
Okay. We'll let Tony start, and then Tony, maybe you'll break in the middle, and we'll see if anybody else is around. So, Tony, NT5TM, go ahead with your announcements and news. This is N5BB, Skynet.
Well, Bill, I'll try to keep it very short. I'd like to remind everyone that 2 weeks from today is Moon Day, July 20th. Yes, we're celebrating Moon Day on the day Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin landed on the moon. You can find out more about how to sign up for this exciting public outreach event at w5fc.org. It's really easy. We just show off how much fun ham radio is to a bunch of kids. They're all smart kids and their parents. There is a new net going on in this area. The North Texas Near Vertical Incident Skywave, NVIS net, is going tomorrow at 2 p.m. 2 p.m. on 7252. That's the 40-meter band. NVIS net tomorrow, 2 p.m. 7252. There'll also be a White Rock Hams Fox Hunt tomorrow. You can check out whiterockhams.org or NTXARD. Also, have you been annoyed by all those squawks on the repeater? Do you know who WG6S is? Arthur Sini. He lives somewhere up there in Louisville or Highland Village, and his email address isn't valid on QRZ. If you know Arthur, or you know someone who knows Arthur, WG6S, please let him know about his APRS problems. Of course, please remember that we have a meeting on the air tomorrow at 7, open to any amateur who'd like to share what's going on in their ham roll. A Racy's net tomorrow at 8 p.m. Everyone can listen, only Racy's appointees can check in. An MCOM 101 net open to anyone interested in public service communications Monday at 7. And last but not least, I don't know what to call this, a lot of exposition followed by some random video game clips. I don't know, they call it Space Rangers. It's going to be causing brain damage or some sort of horrible cognitive conniptions for us all tonight at about 10:30 plus or minus 5 minutes. Join us and talk about it as our brain cells dissolve. NT5TM, back to net.
Well, thank you, Tony. Does anybody have any questions or comments about Tony's news items? Does anybody else have any other news items relating to amateur radio? Okay, Tony, do you have anything about the world of science that you'd like to present, or any other announcements or news? This is N5BB, Skynet.
Thank you, Bill. I think I got through it all on TechNet. I'm just here to listen. Well, except for warning us about the hazards of discussing Space Rangers. NT5TM.
Very good. One last call. Any other announcements or news anybody wants to give? This is N5BB, Skynet. So I'd like to remind everybody there are some satellite local nets linked to AMSAT, but other satellites too. And on Tuesday evenings on this repeater, 88, at 8 p.m. Central Time, there's a net on this frequency, usually run by Tom N5HYP. So come on in to the Tuesday evening net on this frequency at 8 p.m. if you have any questions or comments or want to learn about satellites. Then on Wednesday evening, the same net runs at 9 p.m. on the Arlington 147.140 megahertz repeater. That repeater has a PL tone of 110.9 and a positive offset. Okay, then there's a lot of nets on this frequency on 88. On Mondays, there's things going on every Monday. The first week of the month, the first Monday of the month, cooking net. The second one, emergency communications. The third Monday, another ham fixings, cooking net. The fourth Monday, geek net, geeky things. And if there is a fifth Monday of the month, we have a surprise net. If we told you what it was, it'd be a surprise. All these nets are on 7 p.m. on Mondays. On Fridays, there's the Cert City simulation net at 8 p.m. If anything can go wrong, it goes wrong in Cert City. Learn about emergencies on Fridays at 8 p.m. on this frequency. On Saturdays, we have TechNet at 7 p.m. We have this net, Skynet, from 9 p.m. to 10:30. And we have the Afterglow movie net starting at 10:30. The first and third Sundays at 7 p.m., we have the Dallas Amateur Radio Club beating on the air. Every evening, except when there's a club meeting, at 6:30 p.m. on this frequency, we have the ARL National Traffic System Training Net. Then at 9:30 every evening, there is a second version of that net on the Irving 146.72 megahertz repeater. Tom, K5ICX, can you tell us any more about Space Ranger? Can you make any sense of it? This is N5BB. Well, very good, Tom. Hey, you ought to try to reach him. Invite him to come to invite him to come to Moon Day at Frontiers of Flight Museum so we can all talk to him and see if he's as weird in person as he is with his movies. Very good. Okay. Next, time for additional check-ins. Would anybody else like to check in to Skynet? If so, please come now with your call sign, your name, and your location. This is Inside BB, Net Control.
This is Alpha Golf, Niner Sierra Golf, Antonio in Dallas.
And then I recognize Antonio, AG9SG. Good evening. Okay, next time for Chaz, with Bob the Cat sitting over there on the side. Chaz, can you tell us about the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas? This is Inside BB.
Why, thank you, Bill. Good evening, everyone. This is KF5JHA Chaz. The next Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas Club meeting will be held on Friday, July the 26th. The meeting is held at 7:30 p.m. in person at the University of Texas at Dallas. And there's also a Zoom component. About half the people that attend the meeting are on Zoom. The featured speakers this time is going to be the Astrophotography Special Interest Group, and they're going to be talking about astrophotography. Now, Saturday night public observing sessions continue. Skynet was picked to be on Saturday nights, so there could be an opportunity for live reports from the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas public observing sessions. On the first Saturday of the month, that would be this evening, stargazing is held at Fairview. Fairview is, located in the northern part of the Metroplex. Do we have an amateur radio operator at the bar there? And I'd like to make a report. Well, by another electronic means, I found out that the person who's running it has a big crowd there. If you want to join them, it's not too late. Go to Fairview, go to the TASS website, texasastro.org, find the directions to how to get to Fairview, and then you can go. I would go now if I were you. It's mostly clear, so you might want to do that. So if you want more information about the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas, once again, go to their website, texasastro.org, and you can get up-to-date information about meetings and the public observing sessions. And this is KF5JHA, backdoor net control, N5BB. Bob the Cat actually wanted to go outside, so he's not right beside the radio, but sometimes he likes to lay on the computer.
Okay, very good, Chaz. Say hi to Bob for us. Do we have any additional check-ins to Skynet? If so, please come now. This is Inside BB, Net Control.
Kilo Juliet 5, Delta Zulu Charlie, this is Duncan in Dallas.
Okay, Duncan, give your call sign again. It's KJ5 Delta something Charlie.
Kilo Juliet 5, Delta Zulu Charlie, Doug, Dallas.
I'm still missing the letter between the Delta and the Charlie. What's the middle letter of your suffix between the D and the C?
Z, Zulu.
Z, okay, KJ5D, ZC. We have you, Duncan, in Dallas. Thank you. Does anybody else want to check into Skynet? Okay. Next, we have National Space Society activities. I happen to be the membership director and the member at large of the North Texas chapter of the National Space Society, NSS. This is a group interested in things that humans do in space, not astronomy, things that humans do, like send space probes and astronauts, put up and take down space stations, go to the moon and Mars, all that kind of stuff. The NSS North Texas chapter is very active. We meet on the second Sunday afternoon of each month in Irving at Spring Creek Barbecue at the southwest corner of Highway 183 and Beltline Road in Irving. Our meetings start on Sunday afternoon at 3:30 p.m. Our presentation starts at 4. These are hybrid meetings. We have WebEx virtual access. If you let me know you want to attend in advance, I can get you set up. And there's a meeting in person at the restaurant with a camera and radio microphones, etc. Our next meeting in July for National Space Society North Texas chapter will be on Sunday afternoon, July the 14th. So it's a week from tomorrow, starting at 3:30 p.m. at Spring Creek Barbecue in Irving. The virtual speaker will be Dr. Dexter Johnson. Dexter Johnson. Dr. Johnson is a NASA Technical Fellow for Loads and Dynamics, supporting the NASA Engineering and Safety Center, which I believe is at Lewis Field in Cleveland, Ohio, at the NASA Glenn Research Center. These NASA Technical Fellows are NASA's senior technical experts. And he previously served as chief of the Structural Dynamics branch at the Glenn Research Center. He's worked there since 1990. So you can hear him a week from tomorrow. The North Texas chapter of the National Space Society sponsors a Space Rendezvous social event at Cheddar's Restaurant in Irving on the last Friday of each month, starting at 6 p.m. This restaurant is located on the south frontage road of Highway 635 between MacArthur Boulevard and Bush Turnpike. In July, the Space Rendezvous event will be held on Friday, July 26th, again starting at 6 p.m. You do not need to be a member of any particular group to attend. The big event each year for the National Space Society is the International Space Development Forum, ISDC. In 2023, ISDC was held in Frisco, Texas. In 2024, a couple of months ago, it was held in Los Angeles. And I was at both of those. Next year, it'll be held in Orlando, Florida, June 19th to 22nd of 2025. You can see details at isdc.nss.org. Please contact Bill Byram, N5BB, if you're interested in the National Space Society. Or if you have any questions about our group or want to attend one of our meetings, you can contact Bill at space@byrom.net. That's space@byrom.net, or N5BB@arrl.net. The North Texas chapter of the National Space Society has a webpage at NTX, that stands for North Texas, .nss.org. There's also an active Facebook page, and Facebook search for National Space Society of North Texas. Okay, next, the discussion topic of the evening, which I give also. Do we have any questions, comments, or late check-ins? This is N5BB, Skynet.
Oscar Foxtrot, Clay, Whiskey.
And I recognize N5OS. Hello, Clay. Do we have any other check-ins? Okay, here's what you've been waiting for. This is news from about a week ago, so it's pretty hot news. NASA plans to deorbit the International Space Station in 2030, that's 2030, 6 years from now, using a SpaceX vehicle. So I've got a couple of articles here. The one I'm going to read, I think, is going to be by Megan Bartels, and she wrote this for Scientific American. The world will be watching, literally, as SpaceX tackles possibly what might be its highest stakes endeavor to date, to safely destroy the beloved International Space Station. SpaceX has won the right to tackle a monumental task, destroying the ISS. The demolition will shove the iconic and enormous station down through Earth's atmosphere in a fiery display. If anything goes wrong, a cascade of debris could rain down on our planet's surface. Conceived and built in a post-Cold War partnership with Russia, the International Space Station, like so many of NASA's initial design life of 15 years. Nothing lasts forever, however, especially in the harsh environment of outer space. The ISS is aging, and for safety's sake, NASA intends to incinerate the immense facility around 2030 or 2031. To accomplish the job, the agency will pay SpaceX up to $843 million, according to a statement released on June 26. By the way, that's much less than was originally anticipated. The contract covers the development of a unique deorbit vehicle to usher the unwieldy ISS to its doom, yet excludes the launch cost. So this money we're talking about is just to develop the vehicle. NASA has declined to provide the number of proposals received for the projects. Currently, no details about SpaceX's vision for the orbit vehicle are publicly known. Scientific American reached out to the company but did not receive a response by their publication date, a little over a week ago. What's clear is that SpaceX's existing Dragon and Starship spacecraft are not good matches for the deorbit mission. Means the company could intend to heavily adapt one of these vehicles or design from scratch. So there's some later news here. The design of the deorbit vehicle that will be used to destroy the International Space Station will be rooted in that of the SpaceX Dragon capsule, according to Bill Spetch, the Operations Integration Manager for NASA's International Space Station program. He said this during a press conference the agency held on June the 28th to discuss a range of issues related to the space station. It's based off a Dragon heritage design, he said, of the forthcoming vehicle. Obviously, they had to do some modification and some changes to the trunk for that, but that is the plan. By the way, the International Space Station's been up there about 24, 25 years. By the way, I saw another comment in another location, another news source, saying that they were guessing that SpaceX was going to use part of the design of the modified Dragon capsule that will be used in the Artemis mission to the moon, and that because that's designed to stay connected to a space station for long periods of time, and that's exactly what's needed for this project. is N5BB, Skynet Net Control. Whatever the orbit vehicle ends up looking like, SpaceX is taking on a delicate technical challenge. The ISS is perhaps the most complex construction project ever executed. Certainly the largest and most expensive one in space. Beginning in 1998, its modules required 42 different launches to blast off Earth. And the orbiting laboratory contains about as much internal space as a 6-bedroom house spread over an area the size of a football field. Weighs more than 450 tons, or the equivalent of nearly 3 large blue whales. So it's heavy also. Safely destroying the space station arguably will be even harder than assembling it. The ISS should have several years of science ahead. NASA said it tends to operate the space station through 2030, 2030, and that its partner space agencies in Canada, Europe, and Japan concur with that timeline. Russia's Roscosmos, which leads the ISS partnership with NASA and operates several key modules of the station, is currently only committed through at least 2028. This is N5BB, Skynet. But why destroy the station at all? Because of the ISS's lengthy and continuous tenure, the last time Earth orbit was bereft of human beings was in November 2000, just before the arrival of Expedition 1, when a NASA astronaut and 2 Russian cosmonauts began the station's first residency. The iconic orbital outpost is now a potent symbol of the space age and of international collaboration in space that transcends geopolitical squabbles on the Earth. Indeed, some ISS fans argue it shouldn't be destroyed at all. Instead, they think it should be boosted up to an orbit so high it could remain in space forever as a testament to the engineering prowess of humans. That idea would be wildly impractical and prohibitively expensive, NASA says. Besides, the lab is already fragile. It will become ever so, more so, the longer it stays aloft. Sooner or later, it'll start disintegrating. And the more debris it sheds, the more likely catastrophic space junk collisions could become a frightening feedback process that can curtail further activity in Earth orbit. Some nostalgic observers want to see parts of the station excised, intact, and ferried safely to Earth's surface, bound for museum. But that's just as logistically challenging as a permanent ultra-high orbit, NASA says. Although the space station was assembled in orbit, it wasn't designed to be disassembled. No current spacecraft has enough payload capacity to carry ISS modules back to Earth. Remember, it was put up largely with the space shuttle, which hasn't flown in a number of years. NASA considered other scenarios, too. Repurposing the facility in orbit, passing off its operation to private industry, or even blowing it to smithereens in space. All pose even grimmer prospects, however. So a fiery doom it is. It'll be set down in one piece, given the challenges of taking it apart. In theory, that's a tidy solution, because Earth's atmosphere creates friction that naturally incinerates materials passing through. Larger objects can survive the inferno and fall to Earth, however. Damage from plummeting space debris is rare but not unheard of, as one Florida resident learned the hard way earlier this year when a nearly 2-pound hunk of metal crashed through his roof. The object was the remains of a large battery pallet stuffed with debris that astronauts had jettisoned from the space station 3 years ago for an uncontrolled re-entry, NASA determined. The homeowner is now seeking compensation from the space agency. When it was discarded, the pallet weighed about 5,800 pounds, according to NASA. Compare that with the station's mass of about 925,000 pounds. A range of factors, shape, density, orientation, atmospheric conditions, and the like, determine how much of an object survives re-entry. An uncontrolled plunge for something as bulky as the International Space Station would be a nightmare scenario. Not only would large pieces of the lab likely make it to the planet's surface, but the station would also probably tumble and break apart, making the process unpredictable. An uncontrolled re-entry could rain debris anywhere along the ISS's orbit, which passes over about 90% of Earth's population. That's where NASA's contract with SpaceX comes into play. This is N5BB, Skynet. The commercial deorbit vehicle they're designing is meant to launch, attach to the space station, and then pull it down through Earth's atmosphere in a carefully choreographed, risk-minimizing maneuver. Here's what it would look like. First, the ISS would look a combination of national drag, if necessary, its existing engines, to move to a lower orbit from the operating height of about 260 miles to no lower than 205 miles above the Earth. Then SpaceX's deorbiting vehicle would launch about a year before the station's planned date with Destiny, while astronauts are still aboard. During that 1 year lead time, the ISS's altitude would continue to decrease. The last resident astronauts would depart for Earth, leaving the station human-free for the first time in 30 years. Depending on how quickly the laboratory was falling, the deorbit vehicle would conduct a series of burns to take the lowest point of the station's orbit from about 155 miles to about 90 miles. In this region of the atmosphere, the thickness of the air would mean the station would have less than a month left, even if NASA were to let it fall on its own. The ISS's ability to steadily orient itself compared to Earth would also degrade. At that point, the deorbit vehicle would need to exert an iron grip on the station's motion to prevent potential disaster. Then, at last, the final push would be made. The deorbit vehicle would fire its engines up for up to an hour to shove the ISS through the thickest, most dangerous lower levels of the atmosphere. The burn would be carefully timed to ensure the station and whatever debris it produced fell across the sparsely populated southern Pacific Ocean, the final resting place for maybe Skynet. Throughout the entire endeavor, NASA says, SpaceX's system must be able to successfully execute a controlled deorbit, even if not one but two component failures occur. The contract is yet another example of NASA relying on SpaceX to execute critical work. The company led the way in ferrying NASA astronauts to the orbiting laboratory, has taken over launching a host of missions for the agency. Its 4 flights into testing the most powerful rocket ever flown, Starship, which is intended to be part of NASA's complex Artemis 3 mission to land humans near the moon's south pole as early as 2026. For the mission to destroy the ISS, SpaceX will need to either substantially overhaul an existing vehicle or design something entirely new and fast. Although NASA hopes that the orbit vehicle won't need to launch until early 2030, the agency is aware that a stroke of bad luck on the aging station would require a scramble to fly the deorbit vehicle much sooner. Throughout the mission, the whole world will literally be watching. In fact, the space station is already an eye-catching, bright celestial sight, but its flaming fall will be a funeral pyre that will light up the skies, a final blaze of glory for the iconic facility in all its symbolism. This is N5BB, Skynet. Do we have any late check-ins? If so, please come now. This is N5BB. Sorry, I'm looking for one additional piece of information here. the deorbit timeline. The current altitude is about 416 kilometers. The ISS crew will depart when the ISS is about 333 kilometers above the Earth. Then they're looking at some burns after that, and the final reentry burn will be at about 150 kilometers. So this will be about a year, a little over a year maybe, from the time the vehicle attaches to the ISS until the actual reentry, maybe a year and a half or so. Again, it's a very complex, very complex situation. Okay, that's the end of that. Now, does anybody have any questions or comments or check-ins? This is N5BB, Skynet. There's nobody on Echolink other than the old standbys I already know about. So, Chaz, KF5JHA, get Bob the Cat under control and tell us what's up, Chaz. This is N5BB.
As long as he doesn't walk over the keyboard of the computer, I should be okay. Slide Master, that would be Tom. Slide number 2, please. This is Jazz, KF5JHA. We call the segment of Skynet What's Up, because it's all about what's going on astronomically over the next couple of weeks and beyond. Slide number 3, please. July the 5th. Oh, that was yesterday. Was new moon. If we were lucky, I had clouds in the west, but if you were lucky, you might have been able to see thin crescent moon this evening. So the current phase of the moon is a waxing crescent. On July the 12th, the moon is at apogee, which is the point in the moon's orbit that is furthest from the Earth at a distance of 404,362 kilometers. On July the 13th, the moon's phase is the first quarter. The moon is full on July the 21st. On July the 24th, the moon is at perigee, which is the point in the moon's orbit that is closest to the Earth at a distance of 364,917 kilometers. Slide Master, slide number 4, please. So the next few things are a series of conjunctions that will happen over the next couple of weeks. On July the 6th, oh, that's right now, low in the west-northwestern evening sky. Well, this happened about an hour and a half ago or so. There was a conjunction of the thin crescent moon and the planet Venus. Slide Master, slide number 5. The next evening, that's tomorrow night, on July the 7th, low in the west-northwestern evening sky, conjunction of the moon, the planet Mercury, the asteroid Vesta, and the globular star cluster, the open star cluster, M44, also known as the Beehive cluster, will occur. You'll need a pair of binoculars to see M44 and Vesta. But it'll be interesting to see. I hope it's clear, but right now the forecasts are not good for tomorrow evening's viewing. Slide Master, slide number 6. On July the 10th, the moon and the minor planet Juno will be in conjunction in the western evening sky. A few days later, slide Master, slide number 7. On July the 13th, the moon and Spica are in conjunction in the western evening sky. Ooh, I think there's an occultation, and I've forgotten to put that in there. I'll have to talk about that next week, I guess. Slide Master, slide number 8. On July the 15th, the planets Mars and Uranus will be in conjunction in the same telescopic field of view in the morning sky. If you've never seen the planet Uranus, get your binoculars, get your telescopes out. They'll be in the same field of view on July the 15th. That's just in about a few days, isn't it? In the early morning sky. Slide Master, slide number 9. On July the 17th, in the west-northwestern evening sky, the planet Venus and the star cluster M44, also known as the Beehive star cluster, are going to be in conjunction. And this is KF5, JHA, and this is Skynet. Slide Master, slide number 10. Now, do any of you out there in Radio Land have a question? Or maybe you need a fill on any of the information? Or maybe you just have a general astronomy question. Come now with your call sign if you have a question or need a fill.
November Tango 5, Tango Mike.
Well, yeah, I wish I knew your name. That way I could call on you. Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Tony.
Sorry, I'm being repeatedly attacked by a bird, and so, ow, I missed what it was that Uranus is going to be next to on the morning of the 15th, NT5 TM.
One of our close-by neighbors, Mars. Mars and Uranus will be in the same telescopic field of view. So if you have a telescope, focus in on Mars in the early morning and you'll be able to find the planet Uranus. A good star map will tell you exactly the position of Mars and Uranus at the time that you're viewing. But it should be really cool. Several years ago, Jupiter and Uranus are in the same telescopic field of view, and it was great. We were able to watch, because Jupiter doesn't move that much compared to the background stars, and we were able to see Uranus and Jupiter over the period of about a month or so. But this will be just a night or two where Mars and Uranus will be close together. Did that answer your question, Tony?
Well, thank you. I can remember seeing Jupiter and Saturn together, but not Jupiter and Uranus, so this will be a treat. NT5 TM.
Remember, Uranus is fainter, so you'll need to use a pair of binoculars at least, but a telescope, it'll be in the same field of view as the telescope. It's going to be kind of awesome. Okay, thank you, Tony, NT5 TM. So let me see. Slide Master, slide number 11. Says the moon waned last week, so do these words of this segment of Skynet. Stay safe, keep well, pray for our world. It's the only one where humans live right now. And until next time, actually I'll be doing another segment on Skynet in a few minutes. Keep looking up so you know what's up. And this is KF5JHA, Backdoor Net Control. Bill, it's all yours.
Very good, Chaz. This is N5BB, Net Control for Skynet. By the way, I just checked the dictionary to make sure that my brain was not malfunctioning. But for many, many decades, I've heard waxing and waning, waxing and waning. I thought I knew what those meant, and I confirmed that. So waxing is an old term meaning to get brighter or growing. Waning is the opposite. It gets smaller or it gets dimmer. So if it waxes and wanes, it gets brighter and dimmer, like a variable star. Okay, any additional check-ins before we move on with Brenda? This is N5BB, Net Control for Skynet. Okay, Brenda, WB50ZL. Can you tell us about space exploration and space history this evening? This is N5BB, Net Control for Skynet.
Thank you, I'll be happy to. This is WB50ZL. In space exploration news, Chinese astronauts installed space junk shielding for Keystone Space Station. New Chinese astronauts continued installing space protection outside the Tiangong
a little too weak. Is there anything you can do to improve your signal strength? It's hard to understand you. You're kind of falling in and out of the repeater.
I'm sorry, there really isn't anything I can do. I'm at my tower yet. Will I have someone else read it?
You have access to Echolink. Can you try that? Will that work?
No, I do not have Echolink.
Okay. Well, I'm going to make a decision and say I think it's not going to work. Let me try reading some of this myself, or actually Tom, K5ICX. Since Brenda's so noisy, do you want to try reading some of her text here, N5BB? thank you, Tom. Well, Armstrong and Aldrin definitely have different personalities. Okay, do we have any questions, comments, or check-ins? This is N5BB, Skynet. Chaz, get Bill the Cat under control, and let's give us Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week. KF5JHA, this is N5BB, Skynet. Take it away.
Thank you, Bill. This is Chaz, KF5JHA. Slide Master, slide number 12. Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week is named in honor of Silent T, Carolyn, KC50ZT. Carolyn contributed to Skynet each week almost from its beginning in 2012 until May of 2019 with a detailed look at one particular constellation each week. Since there are about 52 easily visible constellations seen in Texas throughout the year out of the 88 total number of constellations, so Miss Carolyn covered the entire sky as seen over North Texas in a year. And in her honor, we've continued that tradition of a constellation per week and named this segment after her. Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week this week is Serpent, the snake. Now, quoting from Burnham's Celestial Handbook, Serpens is the snake which represents the symbol of the healer, you know, the god of medicine in ancient Greek mythology who appears in the sky as Ophiuchus, along with Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer. Serpens is the only star group completely divided into two portions. Serpens Claudia, the serpent's head, and the west of Ophiuchus, and Serpens Claudia, the serpent's tail, to the east. Okay, Slide Master, slide number 13, the jokes of the week. Now, if you're new to Skynet, you're welcome to boo and hiss, although I'm not going to hear you, but I'll probably hear it in my head. You're also welcome to cheer and applaud, but it's usually the booing and hissing. Okay, what is the snake's favorite subject in school? What is the snake's favorite subject in school? Well, of course, it's history. What do you call a snake that's exactly 3.14 feet long? Oh, come on, someone on Skynet probably knows what that is. You could type it in, Skynet, on Echolink. If you don't have Echolink installed on your computer, you've got to do that. That way you get in the chat station. That oftentimes has nothing to do with what's going on the radio. So, there's reports in there about Bob the Cat over there in Echolink. Oh, well. What do you call a snake that's exactly 3.14 feet long? Can't you play jokes on a snake? Because you can never post legs. No. What do you call a snake without any clothes on? You would call it naked. What do you call a hypothetical situation where a snake chases an Asian from point A to point B? A Pythagorean theorem. Pythagorean. Okay. Why can't snakes rob a bank? Because they're unarmed. Okay, this is a bonus question. I only usually have 6, but this is number 7. What snake do you use to clean your car windows? A windshield viper. Slide Master, slide number 14, please. Okay, the brightest star, Alpha Serpens, or Unakalahaya, I believe is how you pronounce it, means the snake's neck, which marks the spot location on Serpens. The star is an optical triple star system with 2 faint visual companions. In an 8-inch telescope, the primary star looks a yellow-white. The other ones look pale white. Delta Serpens is a double star, and an 8-inch telescope, 126 power, splits them nicely with when the seeing settles down. The primary star looks white, while the secondary star looks yellow-white. But this may be an illusion due to the brightness difference between the 2 stars. Slide Master, slide number 15. Messi object M5 is a bright globular cluster. When you think of globular clusters, you often think of M13 and Hercules. M13 is certainly better known than M5, but older Scott Houston pointed out an interesting paradox in his Deep Sky Wonders column. It may come as a surprise to learn that M5 is actually listed as being a tenth of a magnitude brighter, 5.75 versus 5.86 in the Sky Catalog 2000. So M5 is brighter. Both M13 and M5 are similar in size, too. In fact, M5 is the brightest globular cluster in the northern hemisphere of the sky, and indeed surpassed only by two southern globular clusters, 47 Tucanae and Omega Centauri. Omega Centauri is beautiful, saw it this spring. M5 is visible to the naked eye under dark skies. In an 8-inch telescope, M5 is nicely framed and resolves well at 126 power. Slide master, slide number 16. What's interesting in slide number 16 is also referring to object M16, the Eagle Nebula, or the Star Queen Nebula. In spite of its popular name, the Eagle Nebula, M16 is not just a nebula. It also includes an open cluster of stars. When you look at M16 in a telescope, the cluster is what you usually notice first. The nebula itself is much harder to make out in some smaller telescopes. Although in a 16-inch telescope that I saw it in the spring, it was pretty good. And this is KF5, JHA, and this is Skynet. Slide master, slide number 17, please. Now, there are a few more Astronomical League observing program objects in the constellation of Serpens, the snake. I've just given you a sampling of some of those objects. The Astronomical League has, at last count, 74 different observing programs, most of which have about 100 objects. So, if you observe just 10 different objects in an observing program each month, then you can earn an observing certificate and a pen in about a year's period of time from the Astronomical League. Slide master, slide number 18, and that is Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week, Serpens the Snake. I want to thank my friends Dave Hutchinson and Dennis Harwell for the research and words on deep sky objects that I use, borrow, and steal for every Skynet. I also at times use the website constellation-guide.com for information. Now next week we'll take a look at the snake handler, Ophiuchus, as the Constellation of the Week. And this is KF5, JHA, and this is Skynet, and I'm going to send this back to Bill N5BB 783, everyone.
Thank you very much, Chaz. This is N5BB, Net Control for Skynet. Do we have any late check-ins, questions, or comments? Okay, considering the time, as Net Control, I'm going to make a decision. And let's go to Brenda's section about recent astronomical discoveries. Brenda, since you're so noisy, I'll read it tonight. So here's what Brenda, WV50ZL, came up with for recent discoveries. This is dated July the 3rd, 2024. Moon swirls could be magnetized by unseen magmas. This is from Washington University in St. Louis. Mysterious light-colored swirls on the moon's surface could be rocks magnetized by magma activity underground. This is confirmed by laboratory experiments. Lunar swirls are light-colored, sinuous features on the moon's surface, bright enough to be visible from a backyard telescope. Some people think they look like the brush strokes in an abstract painting, but these are not mere artistic flourishes. NASA images show that tendrils from some lunar swirls extend for hundreds of miles. Lunar swirls have defied easy explanation, but recent modeling and spacecraft data shed light on the twisting mystery. The data shows that rocks in the swirls are magnetized, and these rocks deflect or redirect solar wind particles that constantly bombard the moon. Nearby rocks take the hit instead. Over time, neighboring rocks become darkened by chemical reactions caused by the collisions, while the swirls remain light-colored. This is N5BB, Skynet. But how did the rocks and lunar swirls get magnetized? The moon does not have a magnetic field today. No astronaut or rover has yet visited a lunar swirl to investigate. Impacts could cause these types of magnetic anomalies, said Michael J. Krasinski, an associate professor of Earth, Environmental, and Planetary Sciences at Washington University in St. Louis. He notes that meteorites regularly deliver iron-rich material to areas on the moon's surface. But there are some swirls where we're just not sure how an impact could create that shape and that size of thing. Krasinski believes it's more likely that something else has locally magnetized the swirls. Another theory is that you have lavas underground, cooling slowly in a magnetic field and creating the magnetic anomaly, said Krasinski, who designed experiments to test this explanation. This is N5BB, Skynet. Krasinski and study first author Wan Wang Lang, who recently earned her PhD in Earth, Environmental, and Planetary Studies in Arts and Scientists, measured the effects of different combinations of atmospheric chemistry and magnetic cooling rates on a mineral called ilmenite to see if they could produce a magnetizing effect. Earth rocks are very easily magnetized because they often have tiny bits of magnetite in them, which is a magnetic mineral, Krasinski said. A lot of the terrestrial studies that have focused on things with magnetite are not applicable to the moon, where you don't have this hypermagnetic material. But ilmenite, which is abundant on the moon, can also react and form particles of iron metal, which can be magnetized under the right conditions. The smaller grains that we were working with seem to create stronger magnetic fields because the surface area to volume ratio is larger for the smaller grains compared to the larger grains. With more exposed surface area, it's easier for the smaller grains to undergo the reduction reaction. Our analog experiments showed that at lunar conditions, we could create the magnetizable material that we needed. So it's plausible that these swirls are caused by subsurface magma. Determining the origin of lunar swirls is considered key to understanding what processes have shaped the lunar surface, the history of a magnetic field on the moon, and even how the surfaces of planets and moons generally affect the space environment surrounding them. This study will help interpret data acquired by future missions to the moon, especially those that explore magnetic anomalies on the surface. NASA intends to send a rover to the lunar swirl area known as Reiner Gamma in 2025 as part of the Lunar Vertex mission. If you're going to make magnetic anomalies by the method we described, then the underground magma needs to have high titanium. We have seen hints of these reactions occurring, creating iron metal in lunar meteorites and in lunar samples from Apollo. But all of these samples are surface lava flows. Our study shows cooling underground should significantly enhance these metal-forming reactions. For now, his experimental approach is the best way to treat predictions about how unseen lava may be driving the magnetic effects of mysterious lunar swirls. If we could just drill down, we could see if this reaction was happening. That would be great, but it's not possible yet. Right now, we're stuck with the surface. This is N5BB, Skynet. Do we have any additional check-ins? Okay, Tom, K5ICX. Why don't we arrange things, and you can talk about a few space launches for the week, Tom. This is N5BB. I think that's a good idea, Tom. Okay, last try. We're at the 73 round. Does anybody have any questions, comments, or do we have any late check-ins? This is N5BB, Skynet. By the way, if you'd gone to the International Space Development Conference in Los Angeles in May, you could have seen on stage Jurek Isaacman being interviewed and talking about the Polaris Dawn mission and other things that he's involved with in space. Okay, right now, I think that's it. Tonight we had 19 hams participating on the air. Thanks to all of those who checked in this evening. We hope you'll join us next week and every Saturday night at 9 p.m. to discuss astronomy, space,
I'm completely operational, and all my
on
circuits
this
are
net, the
functioning
sky
perfectly.
is never the limit.
Movie Net.
We're always looking for net control stations for this and all other Dallas Amateur Radio Club nets. Talk to any net control station if you have any interest, or send an email to nets, that's N-E-T-S, at w5fc.org. You can follow topics and discussions about this net, astronomy in general, on Facebook and X, and also find a lot of links by going to w5fc.org. That's the Dallas Amateur Radio Club website. Until next Saturday night, this is N5BB. And I'm closing a net at 10:30 p.m. local time. Returning the repeater to normal amateur use for a few minutes before the afterglow net. 73, everybody. Enjoy the evening discovering the universe. This is N5BB clear. Go ahead, Tom.
November, Tango 5, Tango Mike. Tony in Dallas. Sadly, I have seen what is alleged to be the movie Space Ranger.
Whiskey 5, bacon, lettuce, tomato. Yes, I got through this movie.
Whiskey Bravo 5, Oscar Zulu Lima, Brenda in Dallas.
Kilo Bravo 9, Sierra Oscar Kilo, Sean in Fort Worth. Yes, I've seen this. Plot? What plot? And why were there so many mini blinds? What was this? A video game set in the 1980s? There was a tremendous amount of exposition, but the exposition was unmotivated and what could have been key points were badly buried. Really, we're all living in a simulation like the Matrix? Well then, what do you even need us for if we're all living in a simulation and I guess there's some sort of simulation of aliens pursuing some incomprehensible goal that makes no sense. There's lots of other stuff in the universe. Oh boy, I have a digression on that in a second. Why do you need us to do anything? Just have a simulation, go fight the simulation, and you can have a simulated victory with a simulated party, and I can go back to my simulated fishing. Likewise, when they finally got done with the endless exposition, they assigned them 3 goals, these protagonists, that were supposed to be, I guess, like the 3, I don't know, the 3 first levels of Super Mario Brothers or something? I don't know. Made no sense to me. It was very sketchy whether the goals were even accomplished because, again, they're all living in a simulation, perhaps in a simulation inside a simulation. So they would kind of suddenly appear moving towards their goal, do stuff, move away from their goal, and then suddenly appear back at home. Have we accomplished something? I don't know. Let's go have a simulated beer. Not too many, though. I don't want a simulated hangover. So yeah, I guess somehow somebody paid for this, but I'm sure sad I saw it, and that's not a simulation. NT5TM.
I thought that they kind of tried to rip off the Matrix. I wasn't sure if this is Space Rangers, Power Rangers. I thought maybe it could be like some, well, I wasn't sure if they were going for a cartoon until I got the language. And yeah, it was just a weird movie. And then I started wondering, was this supposed to be like a pilot for a series? And then that gave me nightmares. Yeah, I don't know. It was just kind of weird. They're supposed to fight these aliens on a mining planet, I guess, or something, and then the aliens are going to return or something. And then they already know that the Space Rangers are going to be needed again. It was just weird, and honestly, I'm not sure why they used some of the language that they did, because it didn't add anything to the movie. It didn't take away anything from it. It was already horrible. But yeah, it was. This one was a rough one. Fortunately, it was only an hour long. But yeah, aspirin is always a good thing after something like this. But yeah, it was very weak, and I think there is better quality programming on Sumo, but it's usually like the classics, by the way. BLT.
This is KB9S, okay. Yeah, I agree with everybody. This was pretty boring. Yeah, we spent forever in a conference room talking. And maybe I misunderstood this part, but I don't think it was so much they were living in like a matrix. It was more of they were disguising the planet to look nice, like it was a perception filter, and people were just being fooled and seeing something they really weren't seeing. And yeah, still kind of a rip off of kind of sort of a metric style thing. And then yeah, the whole thing was supposed to be, you don't know, is this corporate the planet if this plan failed. Once again, it sounded like that Earthlings had moved to this planet, which was already occupied by another alien race, and we seem to be surprised that they're upset by we're living in their backyard. And then, yeah, the movie kind of ends very strangely with basically the mission is sort of a success, but then it all depends on how the aliens respond, and all we get at the end was that the aliens did respond. They didn't tell us how. So, yeah, we had this very strange, it almost felt like to me like they were trying to make a pilot for a potential TV series, and they wanted to leave you hanging with potential future missions and stuff that might happen. And then, yeah, it felt like graphics from a video game from 20 years ago, which I guess is technically round 3. But, it was pretty rough. But, yeah, just more than anything, it was just a really dull story because they all just kind of sat around talking about a bunch of techno-babble and didn't go anywhere with the thing. There's not a lot to say about this one. It's very strange and just really kind of boring. And yeah, that if the rest of the films are that this new channel is making is like this, then yeah, not too interested in anything else that they're making. Once again, like we talked about during the Moonfall movie, this was like just another thing they pushed out to make a quick buck on streaming, and not that any real effort was put into it. But I guess if they made it for $2 million, what do you expect? Anyway, back to that KB9S. Okay. complicated place. There are many living things in it, from amoebae and other microbes to great blue whales. And, it sometimes happens that in our little habitat here, our home, another creature wanders in. A wasp, a bee, a gecko. And we take great care to try to help that creature get back out again, because it doesn't belong in here and it won't live. I have to say that I care more about a random insect or gecko that wanders into the house than I did about anybody in this thing. I absolutely did not care in any way whatsoever about any of these alleged people. Again, I couldn't tell if they were real or simulations, since they were teleporting randomly around the galaxy. Are they the avatars of video game players? Maybe some 12-year-olds back here on Earth? I don't know. The only character thought I had in the entire thing was at least they didn't kill off the black guy, because killing off the token black guy is kind of a trope in science fiction movies. Other than that, no opinion, can't remember their names, couldn't care less about them, would rather, rescue a frog. NT5TM.
Well, my plan backfired. I was hoping that Tony would have all the characters down and I could piggyback off that, because I was too lazy to bother looking them up again. The three people in Space Rangers. I can't even remember their names. There's a lady and two guys. One guy was older and wanted to retire. And let's see, the lady said she never retired. And I think the other guy was a space pilot or something. And I didn't get to piggyback off Tony on the names. So, yeah, I didn't care. I think that's probably the first movie I've ever watched that I really didn't care to know their names. Yeah, it was just it's just interesting. So my plan backfired. W5BLT. Back to you, Tom.
this is KB9SOK. As everybody's already mentioned, I don't remember their names either. I just knew him as the rich guy owned the company. We had the synthetic person, which was his assistant. We had the colonel, which was retired or was retired. We don't know if he was technically a good guy or a bad guy. We learn a little bit about him, but we really don't learn anything about him, which is weird. We had the pilot. Once again, we don't really know anything about him. And then the lady, I'm not really sure what her specialty was. I guess she was just a soldier. Once again, we don't really know anything about her. We really didn't learn anything about any of these people other than they used to be Rangers and they're all retired, I guess. I guess a couple of them were working with private individuals. We really don't know anything about these people. But they don't have any real growth during this film. We don't learn anything about the mystical aliens other than they're perfect aliens, perfect in every way, but only 3 of them are left alive, which seems weird if they're so perfect. We really don't know much about these people. For as bad as the script was, I guess the actors did do okay. We've seen way worse acting, so I'll give them, I guess, credit with trying to work with something that really wasn't there. It was just, not a lot to say. I mean, I constantly say that these movies a lot of times are too long, but in an hour's time it felt like it was only about 10 minutes worth of material that they actually said, because they just kept kind of dwelling on the same thing over and over, so wasn't a whole lot here, so not got a lot to add there. So back to that KB9SOK.
I would say if your movie is set between 1985 and 1991, maybe 1992, yes, you can display these ostentatiously thin mini blinds, but otherwise you should just throw them out. No one uses those anymore. Anyway, yeah, the CGI was terrible. I mean, they tried to delineate, I think there was supposed to be a little bit of a difference, like some parts of the movie were framed in a slightly odd or different frame rate than others, but I really didn't have a firm grasp on what they were trying to tell me, so I'd have to say I didn't care. Yep, all forgettable. NT5TM.
You know, on a positive note, well, two things. The spaceship sounds, they were kind of lame. They're kind of more in the background, and usually I'm always complaining about the sounds and explosions being too loud. On a positive note, though, you could hear every word of the dialogue painful as it was. You had every word. There was no sound effects or music that was, I think, covering up the dialogue. It was there to behold in all its glory. W5BLT.
Yeah, this is KB9SOK. Well, as everybody there said, the special effects were really strange. The space battles were pretty rough. You know, it's even worse than stuff we see in the 80s on TV. Today, I've seen people do way better stuff on YouTube, just average everyday people not actually making movies for a living, with After Effects and that kind of thing. It was just really, really rough. And then we had the internal scenes of them flying the ships, and it was like, yeah, it was a completely different graphics package it looked like they were using. It looked a little better, but it was just very strange. any show. So, yeah. But as everybody said, the one odd thing about this super low budget thing was the audio was good. I mean, you could hear the people. The speaking was good. Yeah, when they were out doing their mission, the audio wasn't as good. Obviously, of course, it was dubbed over, and they didn't do as good a job there. So, yeah, just a very, very strange one. And, yeah, hopefully this guy's other movies are better than this one. Not much to say about this film. So, yep, entertaining as always. Can't wait for the next one. Back to net. This is KB9SOK.